All right, everybody. It is 8 o'clock. Welcome to the Doug and Carl podcast. And to make that happen even better, we're going to have to bring on another co-host. That is Carl.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
Hey, yeah, we are back with you once again, and I'm hoping this will go good. We're trying something a little different, but you know how it is.
Yeah,
Uh,
Saturday 8 o'clock. Hopefully a good time for everybody.
yeah, really, really. I see we have one guest. That's Bob. Hi, Bob. How you doing?
Hey Bob, how you doing, buddy?
All right. So what we're going to do is bring on our guest, and you guys know already who that's going to be. So let's bring him on, and that's Greg of
There
Gregg's
he is.
Vintage Workshop.
Hey
Greg,
everybody,
how you
Greg,
how's
how
everybody
you
doing?
doing? Doing good.
All
Good
right.
to be here.
Good to see
So
you on here.
we hey, there's the goat. How you doing, Bill?
All
Uh,
right.
so like I said, we got some people on here, and I think we can get right on into it if you want. And I think Carl's going to start us off here with a few questions for Greg. Unless
So,
you want to wait until some other people get on here, we can do either one. It doesn't matter.
well,
Say
uh,
hey. I'll say hey to Bill. Hey, Bill.
yeah, it's
So
good seeing him here, and good knowing he could make it.
Absolutely.
Um, well, I tell you what, I suppose we could start, and because we might have some people on here that's just not into the chat just yet. So,
that's
Sure.
that's true. That's
Absolutely.
true.
Yeah.
so uh, as Doug mentioned, Greg has his channel here on YouTube. It's Gregg's Vintage Workshop. And uh, Greg, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about your uh, electronics and what you're doing. I notice right now you're working on that 1929 Victor, and it's a TRF. And I got to say, I'm so glad to see a TRF come out because not everybody understands the tuned radio frequency radios. And I'm thinking this is just a great opportunity for you to share that with
Yeah.
people. Um, so how's that radio going so far with you?
Well, yeah, that radio is an interesting radio. They definitely had some different ways they did things way back then. That was actually the second radio that I purchased about 3 years ago. I found it in a sale. When people pass away, that type of sale. I forget what the heck
Right.
it's called.
Estate sale.
Yes.
Thank you. Estate sale, yes. Boy, getting old sucks. My memory can't remember stuff. But yeah, I got an estate sale, and I got it because I saw the cabinet, and I liked the cabinet. It looked pretty good. I looked behind it to see if it looked pretty complete, and it was very complete.
Oh, fantastic.
But considering I had just kind of got started in the hobby, I knew I wasn't going to tear into it anytime soon. I wanted to get a few radios under my belt and feel more like I knew what I was doing. So got started on it, just before I went to North Carolina, I started on the amplifier section, and we got that in pretty good shape. I changed a couple of the coils in there and transformers, and did the caps last week. And so I'm ready to kind of put that portion together, but because it's so cold outside, I can't really paint. So I've kind of set that aside, and now I'll be starting on the actual radio section tomorrow. It's very interesting looking radio as far as stuff that I haven't dealt with before. But I did watch another video on YouTube. It was like 20. I think it's Jim Lindenus about
Oh yeah.
about 24 videos long, and I kind of watched as he went through them. So my eyes were opened up a little bit. I've got a little bit of paperwork. Mechanically, I'm not really too concerned with it. I do pretty good with mechanical stuff. Electrically, I think I'll do all right. I'm learning as I go, so that's kind of it.
Yeah, that's something I wanted to ask you because, okay, like we said, right now you're working on a TRF, a 1929 Victor. You just completed a Philco, so you're in the groove. And when we talked off camera, you mentioned that you really have not been in the hobby that long. How long have you been in here, and what kind of got you sucked into this crazy hobby anyway?
Well, yeah, I retired in very early 2018. Heck, I can't remember, from my previous employment. And I really didn't do anything in electronics other than in my early life, I was a heavy equipment mechanic, and so doing heavy equipment mechanicking, you had to do a lot of wiring and stuff like that. So I mean, wiring things, and of course in my auto restoration stuff, I had to do a lot of wiring of that stuff. So I'd done basic wiring, but as far as radios and things such as that, my wife and I have always liked antiques. My wife and I have been married for 42 years.
Wow.
And be 43 this year, and we've liked antiques. And so when I retired, I bought a new house up in Illinois here that was built in 1908, and all the hardwood floors and the high ceiling, everything's still there. And so
that would be an antique.
Yeah. So we wanted to do an eclectic style decorating. So we were out, over the couple of years before I actually retired, we were out buying, various antiques. And I started out with like a 5x10 storage facility. And by the time I was done, I'd had to upgrade it to like a 20x20 to hold all my stuff.
I know the feeling. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we happened to be in an antique store in Springfield, Illinois, and I saw this console radio. And to be honest with you, I didn't even know what it was at the time I saw it, but I really liked the looks of it. And what it turned out to be was a Philco 47-12-30 combination AM/FM turntable.
Wow.
And when I bought it, I had started in my early retirement, started like manufacturing lights, custom lights, just create. I like to create. So I was creating like lights. So I figured I'd buy this old radio that I knew didn't work and just kind of put some lights in it. So you turn it on and lights would do something,
Yeah.
But after I got it home, I started looking at it. I was like, I wonder if I could make this thing work. So I went on YouTube, which I was fairly new to YouTube at that point.
Wow.
And I found Michael at that YouTube sound. And he had a video series on that exact Philco 47-12-30. And so I watched his video and I was like, oh, this doesn't seem that tough. I should be able to do this. Yeah, right. That's one radio. I basically gutted that radio and replaced every resistor and capacitor in it. And when I got done, it didn't work. So yeah. So that's how I started. And so of course, while I was working on that, every time I'd see a radio, then you get into you're just looking for them then, at that point. But I was looking at the consoles because I thought that was cool.
Wow.
After I got about 6 of them, different consoles, I decided that I didn't have enough room for it. So I had to start going to the smaller radios.
Wow. That's good to hear because, you, like you say, just a couple of years ago, you kind of like stumbled into it and look where you're at now. Like I said,
it's addicting. It's addicting.
Yes. And, and look at the higher degree of skills that you're already using. And that just kind of goes to show that if we have people that are out there that are kind of interested in it and thinking, oh, I can never do this, or I could, I'm starting too old, or I don't, that's a perfect example. If they just watch some of your videos, they can say, well, you know what, this guy just started and look where he's at. If he can do it, I can do it too. And so that's a really good testimony, I would say, Greg. That's cool to hear.
Yeah, definitely. I think definitely anybody that is interested can, and has some amount of aptitude as far as like mechanical, electrical aptitude, they can certainly, learn it. It's different. You got to continue to read. You got to continue to watch your mentors that, I consider quite a few of you guys my mentors on YouTube. And that's every time I watch somebody else, I learn something I didn't know. And if I can take one thing away, that's what I try and do on my channel is if I can give somebody one thing, a takeaway that they were like, dang, I didn't think about that. I could have done that. Then to me, that's the purpose of why I do this.
Yeah, I'm with you there, and that's been my philosophy because for the longest time I would watch and I'm thinking, I would like to be able to contribute too. And that's always a good feeling when you can help other people too.
Right.
I wanted to mention we got quite a few people coming in here on the chat, and most of them are just saying hi to us. We want to say hi to you back real quick, and
hey everybody,
we're going to try to get some questions to you in a little bit. I'd like to turn this over to Doug for a little bit. I know he's itching to ask you some questions. So Doug, if you want, my friend, go ahead.
All right. Well, you've talked about the electronics, and we all can relate to the electronics here. I noticed a lot of people, and me included, are into other things besides electronics. Uh, and one of the things you're interested in is cars. I'm going to flash up a couple of pictures here, and we're going to take a look at those. That happens to be a 66 VW Bug, I do believe.
Yes, sir. That's a 66 VW Bug. I drove that home in a hurricane, actually.
That's kind of a funny thing to do. I mean, driving in a hurricane.
Yeah.
There's another picture of it. Basically, this is your before pictures, I think.
Yes, correct.
And so there's basically what it looks like. Now, I'm going to go let you explain a little bit, and then we'll go to the other parts of it as far as the after pictures. How's that?
Yeah, so I purchased this, I think it was September of 2009, and the purpose was I had a 2004 Spider, Toyota Spider, that was my toy, and once I paid it off, I decided I could either keep it at that point or I could do something different. And I've restored a couple of cars in my life, but I had never actually really built one from the ground up. And so I was trying to think of something I could do cheap. And a VW Beetle I've had a couple in my life and they were fun cars. So I said, okay, I can do that cheap on the cheap. No. Yeah. because it never stops there, right? So my whole
restorations that way. Yeah.
No. So I the whole thing was I was going to make it halfway stock and put some custom wheels on it and call it a day. No, that's not actually what happened. But I bought the car to be rust free, and unfortunately, it had been boogered up and made it look rust free, and it wasn't rust free as I tore it apart. So I brought it home on a Wednesday, and by Saturday, everything was off of it. It was all apart by Saturday. So,
just like
and that was working, and that was after work, Yeah.
So, wow.
So
let's take a look at the after. There's afterwards, I believe.
Yeah, that's after. That's one of my beauty shots that I had sent to Hot VW's magazine. So I got a little carried away, and I put air ride suspension on it, a drop front axle, custom transmission. I did everything you see on this car. I did completely in my garage. I built a rack to set the body on that was raised high enough that I could get in there and do everything I needed to do inside there. There's a website for it's a 1966 VW forum. I don't remember the actual site, but we can link it at some point. That has the entire restoration process I did on there.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
all custom interior. I built armrest and drink holders using the same materials that I used on the interior. But yeah, I did all the paint. I did all the mechanical. I did all the upholstery.
That's fantastic. Let me tell you.
All the wiring. The whole car was completely rewired because it had power windows, power door locks, and everything. Those are Foose wheels. I mean, I got a little carried away. So a job I thought was going to take 10 grand took me about a little over 20.
Yeah, right. So I understand. So
go ahead. No, I was going to say, so then after I got finished with it, it was kind of like, now what? Oh, and I did a complete engine, by the way. I built a 2010 stroker from scratch, bought all the parts. I had $7 grand in that engine just because when you buy pieces, it adds up, right? Versus buying assemblies already, but that's just the way I do things. Unfortunately, according to my wife. So it took me 2 years. So I finished the car in 2011 and sold it. And it actually got sold on Mecum. Mecum? No, what's the other? Is it which one? Yeah, Mecum. Yeah. And there's actually a video on that same website of the car being sold. So anyway, I sold it, and then that led me to my next project, which was a couple years later, because my wife said, "You're never going to do this again," because I was a widow. She goes, "You buy what you want up front." So I bought a new C7 2014 Corvette.
About like that one, right?
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
That's a pretty car.
Yes.
Laguna Blue with the brownstone interior, which was, you had to order these cars when they first came out, and this car I had to wait. I think it was like 6 weeks for it to come in. That was a long 6 weeks. And then I had shoulder surgery like the week after I got it on my right shoulder, so that I couldn't drive it for like 6 weeks.
Oh man!
Because my right arm was in a sling, and it was a 7-speed manual. So
oh my goodness, that was something else.
Oh man!
Yeah,
in this car under the hood, I would completely did everything and I did it myself, but I didn't do the coating myself. I sent it to a guy in Florida who did everything in blue carbon fiber, everything underneath the hood.
Jesus.
So I couldn't leave it alone either. It's just the way I'm.
Well, that's excellent.
Oh,
I really, like I said, when we were going to have Bob on radio a while, I was going to go with him on the same things. He's done the same things. Hoping we can get him back still, by the way.
Yeah.
So for that's a pretty good deal there, Gregg, and I really think you do great work. You really dive into any restoration, whether there's a radio or a car or whatever.
My problem is and my wife didn't like this about me. I'm a perfectionist, and if you watch my videos, how I get into the fine stuff that most people would not go as deep as I do, as far as, I don't know, making components to make them work, which is kind of why I've now got the 3D printer to help ease that along. That I think that little Japanese transistor radio that had the broken plastic peg that ran the dial cord, and I had to epoxy like some metal piece, and I jerry rigged it around, but it worked. Yeah. It would have been so much easier to have the printer and printed one, one out for it, right?
Yeah, right. So. All right, well, Carl, I think you've got some more questions on some stuff. Let's see what you got to say about it.
Yeah, I sure do. And first, I just wanted to mention, going into this, when I was younger, before I had to go to dental school and all that stuff, I was working in a lot of factories. And I'll tell you what, one of the things that I drove around a lot in those factories was a Yale forklift.
Yeah.
And, and when I seen that you worked at Heister Yale, I thought, oh my goodness, I bet you've seen a couple of those.
Yeah, when I said it, when I told you I was a heavy equipment mechanic, that's how I started my life. I started working at a Heister dealer in the Quad Cities, which is about an hour from where I live here. And I worked there turning wrenches for 17 years. And then I moved into management and sold them for a couple of years. And then I became the service manager for a couple of years. And then I transferred to the factory that builds them in Greenville, North Carolina. That's how I wound up being down there. And
okay,
there you go. That makes sense.
I worked as a resident service engineer, fixing the ones that the dealers couldn't fix. They would contact us via phone. And then from that, I moved into managing that department for the last 15 years.
Wow.
And that's what I retired from.
Yeah, so you've been around them for quite a while, because, and I notice a lot of guys nowadays, especially guys that have like nice shops and they're working on cars and they're working on a lot of things, like Musty One and Wrangler Star, all those. I mean, they have forklifts that are actually in their shops now, and like when I was young, they were in the factories, but you would never picture them being in your garage or your, or even in your shop. Is that something that's become more popular out there?
It is, because you can buy older forklift trucks. The older ones, pretty much anybody could work on, because they had like old flathead motors and stuff like that.
Right.
And they got small ones. And if you can get a small forklift truck that'll go in your, I wish I had one in my garage right now. I mean, it's like you can use them and you can pick them up pretty dirt cheap. And so, I think it's popular because as age goes on, there's more and more of them out there, so it's easier to pick them up.
Now, okay, let me ask you this while we're on the forklift thing. Like you said, a lot of them have the old, the older engines, and there's a lot of them out there that run on the battery system.
That's correct. Yeah.
Now,
absolutely.
Which one? If there's a guy out there that has a shop, and he was looking at one or trying to look for one that he could put into his shop. Would you advise more towards one or the other? What do you think?
Well, the electric trucks, and that's actually what I managed and worked on for when I was in Greenville. That's all we produced in Greenville was the electric product. You know, for an average guy in his garage, in my opinion, he's better off getting a gasoline unit or an LP unit because gasoline's easy to get, LP's easy to get. The electric trucks run fine, but there's when the electronics go bad, the parts are expensive, and the average guy is not going to be able to fix it. It's just something that almost any guy that does the sort of things we do can fix a gas engine or something like that, right? But when you start talking electrical, I wouldn't touch that one too much. I mean, I might because I'm sure I got enough years of experience on it.
Exactly. Yeah,
but if you need parts, they aren't dirt cheap. The electronic parts aren't cheap.
And I'm hoping that somebody out there hears that because mostly all the trucks that I drove were the propane ones. They ran great. They you hit them, they started off, they went. Yeah. And I know those batteries those deep cell batteries get real expensive. So I said, I'm hoping somebody out there may be saying, well, should I do this, do that? And that's really good advice. I'm glad you threw that out for them.
Because those batteries age. I mean, they're just like an automotive type battery. As far as they age, they're only good for so many cycles and all that sort of thing. So if you get if you had an old truck with a brand new battery, you probably, if you barely used it much, it'd probably last you a while. But also if you're not using it, sulfate.
Time waits for no one, especially batteries.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. Exactly. Well, I thought that's really interesting. Like I said, it takes me back many, many years and that. So I had to ask you about that. But I think Doug's got something else he wants to ask you about. So I'm going to flip it back to him again. Right. He's over that way. He's over here. He's over there. He's everywhere. Okay.
I'm everywhere. Okay. Well, there's the elephant in the room. And we all three among us have them. 3D printing, Gregg.
Yeah.
I think we gave you the bug, and I think
you did.
You went out and got one, and you've been printing like a crazy man.
I actually have. We had a 3D printer back in Greenville in our technology lab, and when they first started coming out, of course, those are tens of thousands of dollars. So I never had much thought. And then when you bought yours last March or May, I think it was.
Yeah, whenever this first stimulus was.
Yeah, April. I was hoping you'd put it together because then it started me thinking about it because I was like, well, if Doug can buy one, I mean, how good are they? So I started watching videos and I was like, okay.
Let me be honest here on this. I know some people are asking this. Why didn't I do that? The reason is I was scared. I thought, now this is something I have never ever done before, and I kept reading and watching videos, things like that, and that's why I said, we'll make this a winter project. So when winter came, I had to do poop or get off the pot or something. So.
And the thing is one thing to get the printer, is another thing to use it, right? So
right.
Until you guys talked about Tinkercad. And I was actually in Greenville when you guys brought up Tinkercad. So I went and got the program and I started designing stuff, teaching it to myself at night. After my wife would go to bed, I'm sitting there in the bed with my computer in my lap and I'm sitting there playing with it because I was like, if I can create things that I can print, then I can justify this. And when I'm thinking of my tar blocks and the Atwater Kent that I did, and now in this one and other radios that I've needed parts for, I'm like, if I can actually create stuff, then this is worthwhile. Well, I got that Ender 3 Pro for $204 shipped. I mean, that's so cheap. And the Tinkercad
You're crazy free. Not to have one.
Yeah, exactly. Tinkercad's free, Cura's free, and to Bob's point, it's very addicting.
Yeah, it really is.
I wanted to throw that up there because Bob's the other one. He was in there pitching too. So
yes.
Carl, and the more you play with it,
did you get
I'm sorry. Yes, I got the Ender 3 Pro.
No,
Yeah,
I was talking to Carl. I can't
Oh,
remember what he
Carl.
got.
Okay.
Did you get the Ender 3 Pro or what did you get?
Oh, no. I've got a longer.
Okay, that's what I was just trying to clear that up because I couldn't remember in my head. Go ahead, Greg. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, and it's addictive because the more you're forced to use like Tinkercad and Cura, the more efficient you become,
Yes.
and the quicker you can design a part. So, like when I'm working on my radio, I whipped out like that block for the capacitors I used and everything. I whipped those out in like 30 minutes, the two of them, as far as designing them and, print them out. And so that's why it's addicting. But yeah.
Anything you want.
Yeah. Basically, if you can think it, you can probably print it,
I've been thinking.
I think that it's really good for this hobby. I really do.
It's great.
Yes. And other hobbies.
Other hobbies. Yeah. Other hobbies.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's great. I'm happy. Like I said, we're going to have to do a video on another one of these kind of videos where we show our little projects that we made.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Share them, that things we come up with and print it out, and that's kind of neat.
Yes.
But that's for another time. So
that's right. So again, if anybody didn't hear, I'll be working on the radio portion of the 29 Victor starting tomorroo.
Well, that's good. That's good. We're looking forward to that.
I got a 20-hour print going, so I have nothing else to do. No. So.
Yeah, those prints can get kind of long. I know that. Yeah. So.
Well, I'm looking here, and I think we probably covered a lot of stuff that people might have been asking.
Did you cover the shirt? Because
the shirt, yeah.
Everybody see that those are radios, right? Those are all
radios. Yeah. Real quick, guys. Matter of fact, Greg has a little collection of shirts now, and
he does.
You might be seeing several of those on some of his videos.
That's right. I got like 5 different new radio shirts for Christmas from my wife, so
that's cool.
I figured each time
I'm dog.
Yeah, she's looking out for me.
So
she's not thrilled when I buy them, though.
Well, no women are. I don't know what it is about women. They don't care for radios.
Yeah.
I used to get grief from Kylie all the time. Every time I'd buy a radio, she'd say, "Another radio?"
Yeah. Weird.
All right, well, that's pretty good information. Anything else you'd like to share, Greg?
I see Bob just said no. Don't forget about Old Smoky. So he's obviously talking about the Philco. He couldn't let it lie, could he? The Philco 54. Yeah, no, it's there. It's up in my office right at the moment on a shelf, and I'm going to leave it there until I finish the 29. When I finish the 29, I'm taking it back apart to see what happened. I'm not going to let it lie. I can't. I'm OCD. That's why I was telling you guys earlier. I'm perfection. I'm too OCD about that stuff. Like I can't do it. I don't give up very easily. I get PO'd a lot.
So let me ask you.
This will do it to you, believe me.
Let me ask you this: if we get the new package of stimulus or whatever, any plans to buy anything else?
Yeah, my laptop is about had it, and it's about 6 or 7 years old. I may get a new laptop. My shop's in pretty good shape. There's nothing I really need in the shop too much at this point. Maybe some basic smaller stuff, but maybe a radio. I buy a radio.
There you
go. More toys. We need more toys.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Carl,
you got any final thoughts or anything like that?
I think this, for what we are trying to do, this was a great night. I think we did. We hit a lot of points. We haven't, and I might be messing this up now because we haven't had any glitches or anything. All of a sudden, you get the rolling thing,
Yeah. Carl's on his buzzy laptop. That's why he's saying that.
Yeah.
It's not buzzing.
Yeah, well, it helps when you have,
Yeah. So. All right. Well, like I say, I think it's went really nice and good, and everything's been informative. And like I said, I'm really happy with the way this turned out. And I want to say thank you very, very much to our special guest, Greg.
Yes. Thank you, Greg.
And thank you to all of the people that have commented on the chat. We really kind of look forward to that each week or whenever we do this because we're hoping we get some questions. Now, Bob asked it about the Smoky. That was really the first question that we've gotten from this fella.
Yeah.
We
Well,
are
just,
hoping.
I just want to say if anybody's watching this and they're not a subscriber of mine, I certainly would like to have them as a subscriber.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely on that one.
Yeah. So you mentioned Michael, that Tube Sounds. We're trying to get him on here too.
Michael Michael was he was the guy who got me started as far as I'm concerned, and he's awesome to watch. He's awesome to watch.
Yeah. So like I said, I used to watch him all the time. Larry went out there, watched him when Larry went out there and stuff like that.
Yep.
That was really cool.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Like I said, we have some other people that we're expressing the interest to get on here and do this.
Yes. Yep.
And we're hoping to bring them up very shortly within the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll let you guys know for sure. As soon as we know, you'll know. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that's come in tonight and watched with us. You don't have to ask questions. You being here.
You don't have to, obviously.
Yeah, it makes it just great just having you guys here. So
right.
Yeah, thank you for everybody.
So, all right, I think that's going to do us. You guys all have a great evening, and that's what we're all going to do after we get done with this. And so we will see you all later. Final words, Carl?
No, I'm just happy tonight went so well. I mean, I'm really glad about that. So,
Greg?
Just restoring history one piece at a time. Thanks for watching.
See you guys.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.